Welcome to the Happy Black Woman Podcast, where we're on a mission to empower women to transform their lives through personal development and entrepreneurship. We bring you all the information, inspiration, and motivation you need to create a life of happiness, success, and freedom. Now, please welcome your host, the happy black woman herself, Rosetta Thurman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Happy Black Woman Podcast. I'm Rosetta, the Happy Black Woman, and today I have another Happy Black Woman on the line with me, the one, the only Nicole Walters, our income strategist that we will be learning from today. Welcome, Nicole.
Yes. Hello, Rosetta. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. We were just talking before we got on the line. I always try to tell everybody how do we meet, and we haven't actually met in person yet, but what brought us together was all these people asking me, do you know Nicole Walters? Do you know Nicole Walters? I'm like, I don't, but it sounds like I should. So
I love it. No, I love it. So high energy. And it's funny. The universe really does conspire to bring like positive, happy people together. So
Yes.
It's all about your circles, and I'm glad you're in mine.
Totally. And, energy attracts the best people. So we always talk about happy black women, on this podcast. And we really do like to stick together. We gravitate towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that some people do know your story and you have so many followers. I know there's a lot of overlap in between, people who like to follow your brand and your videos and everything. But let's take it back for everyone who doesn't know who you are yet. Like, tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you become an income strategist? Like, where did this all start?
Sure. So it all started back in corporate America. Well, even before all that, I was just a regular girl growing up in Washington, D.C. I'm the daughter of two African immigrants from Ghana, West Africa. My dad was a taxi driver. My mom was the secretary at a boating insurance company. And they worked really, really hard to raise me with strong values and strong morals and a sense of service, but also to learn how to capitalize on my opportunities. So that looked like my dad working really, really hard every single day and coming home at night, saying things like, you have to do better. You are my 401k plan. Things like that to me, right? And then trying to get me into the top private schools in DC. And through God's grace and through his hard work, I was able to attend really great schools. And eventually, I ended up working in corporate. And it was great working with Fortune 500 companies, helping them, monetize their bottom line and optimize their product development. But at the end of the day, I was really padding their bank accounts and sacrificing my own happiness and personal alignment with my purpose. So once that realization really dawned on me, which happened soon after I became the mom to 3 foster girls, I realized, gosh, I got to find my happy, and I have to do it not just because these littles are watching me, but also because I know that I'm meant for something more. And that happened in August of 2015 when I quit my job live on air.
Yes, that was like the infamous video we were just talking about, like when so many people started following you. They were like, have you heard of this girl who quit her job? And I didn't even know your name. I didn't know who you were. But as I look back, I was like, yeah, I did watch that video, but I didn't know who you were, what your name was, anything. And it just, I feel like it's like, what's that old story? The shot heard around the world is like the Periscope watched around the world.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There were like 10,000 people that watched it live and over 100,000 people watch it in replay. So, it was like, it's really crazy because, oftentimes our most intimate moments are not shared with strangers, and it's both inspiring and uplifting and a good reminder of, our ability to make a personal impact when you meet someone who's like, I watched that video and I was there in that moment with you and I'm just really proud of you. And in those moments, it's just amazing the connection that you can make because that was scary. Like my intent wasn't to do something crazy or shocking. I'd been sharing my journey online. Like, hey, I work my 9 to 5 and I'm trying to build this thing on the side. And this is what it looks like. And there are highs and lows. And I'm sad today. And today's a big win. And it just felt honest and organic and transparent to also share that moment to say, hey, I'm going to do this. And fortunately, my boss wasn't like, good riddance, you're terrible, get out of here. My boss was like, oh my gosh, if you found something that's working for you, I want you to get out there and chase it. His exact words, I think, were something to the effect of, well, if you're happy and it's making you money, then what are you doing here? And it was just such a light switch moment for me and such validation. And I burst into tears. People watching burst into tears. It was just this big old international hot mess.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. There's so much that I take away from that moment to seeing where you've come to. And, we always talk about in the Happy Black Woman tribe that sometimes you have to let go of something that's just okay so that you can open the space, make room for what's great in your life, for the greatness that's supposed to be there for you. And a lot of times we're waiting for permission. And is this okay? Would this be okay if I did it? And sometimes it's a choice. For many people, they choose to quit. Some people, they get laid off. It's like the universe is saying, okay, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it for you.
Right. No, absolutely. It's amazing how that works out. And I think you're right. And I think one of the things I always like to echo on top of that, as someone who is in the business of helping, new entrepreneurs and long-term entrepreneurs find the income that they love and finally monetize using corporate strategies, it's very easy to sound like a champion for entrepreneurship, but this life is hard, and if you love what you're doing and you love your 9 to 5 and you just need to pay bills, that's okay too. And people shouldn't feel guilt around that. If anything, find ways to serve others that still make you happy and in your purpose. And that's where I started. And I think a lot of people miss that. Is you may have tuned in at the Periscope scene around the world, but at the, prior to that, I was a blogger for 5 years. And I was blogging around natural hair and curly hairstyles, just kind of sharing my love and interaction and empowering women to feel beautiful and sharing my journey that way. And that fed my soul for 5 years in corporate before I finally just didn't have any more room for corporate, So like you're saying, it just really echoes that you should always be chasing your happy in one way or another, even if it doesn't look exactly the way you want it to.
Yeah, totally. I love that you shared what you do now, but that you didn't just wake up like this,
right?
That it took some time to get here. And I think when people are looking online and they're looking and seeing what people are doing, it's like, oh, wow, she's got it going on. She knows what she's talking about. And, when they get started, they get a rude awakening that, no, this is not instant. It does take some time. It's not just you do a Periscope that goes viral
right.
And now you know everything. It does take time. So you learn so much along the way, I imagine, in those 5 years about branding, about marketing, about your voice, getting into your own voice and sharing content that you now took into this business. And I say that too because people always, income strategists, whatever you want to call it, people say, oh, you're a business coach.
Right.
There's so many business coaches out there. But there's so many business coaches out there that haven't put in the time. And they're just like, oh, I know how to use Periscope. I know how to do Facebook Live. And now I'm a business owner. So I always like to tell people, like, no, I'm bringing people on that have done the work, that have the experience. Just like with Happy Black Woman, this is my second business. And there's such depth in our conversations.
Oh, sure.
When we're talking about, for people who have put in the time. So tell us what you do now.
So what I do now is, in a very not exciting sort of way, it is the same thing I did in corporate. It's just that the shift came with who I get to serve. So in corporate, I was building the business for the largest health insurance company. I was an executive there. I was dealing with, companies like Pepsi and these huge corporations, boardrooms and that whole life. And I'm sure that some of your listeners are like, girl, I know that life. You know what I mean? Like we're all living that. But now I get to work with everyday entrepreneurs and I get to bring the secrets from the boardroom, what it really looks like to look at a profit and loss statement and, the foundations that you really need to have in your business in order to generate the income you deserve, and and jumping away from looking at popularity and followers and focusing on, being profitable and sustainable, and just really taking that mindset that builds corporations and applying it to everyday entrepreneurs so that they can see their visions come to life also. And it's been a blessing because it's just so rewarding to help someone who looks just like me and is in the same struggle finally find their own financial freedom. And it really is a blessing. I'm so grateful.
Mm-hmm. And, the details of that, how you help them, like, do you do that one-on-one? Is it through courses?
Sure. So I have courses. 1K One Day Academy is my premier pillar course that is just, wildly popular and well reviewed. And that course is so much fun. I know that sounds weird because fun is not the thing that you typically hear people say. It's so great. You get the best results, and it's like, it is, it's a journey. This is, anyone who tells you that building a business is something that happens overnight is misleading you, and what's great about it is it's an then I like to say you're stuck with me. If you come through one of my course experiences, we become a community. We become a family. And we refer to everyone as rich friends, because we're all rich in positivity. We're rich in spirit. We're rich in purpose. And we're getting rich in coin too. So through a 12-week experience where, in each module, we're learning how to start foundationally to actually generate income, implement strategies and systems and tools to generate income, not just building an email funnel, but actually setting up a payment processor and deciding which one's the right one for you, things like that. Things that we often overlook because so many people are focused on social media. So it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's
right. I love that you incorporate fun, and I love that you also help people with the nuts and bolts, because a lot of people do think that it's about building a big Facebook page. And people are asking me, how can I build a big Facebook page? And I said, why do you want to do that? That's not going to make you money. Like, do you want to make money, or do you want to have a Facebook page? Like, it's not about building a community on Facebook, because no one pays you for building a community on Facebook. So I love that, you've got the practical piece, you've got the fun, and you've got such a following because of that. Tell me, when it comes to income strategy, and you talk about the profit and loss, those are the things that makes most everyday entrepreneurs, makes our eyes glaze over. And it's like,
and cringe.
Yeah. What do you see as the top challenges or even the top tips that you would give for us to be aware of, like either challenges to watch out for or tips to be aware of, as the ladies who are listening who are everyday entrepreneurs or even are aspiring entrepreneurs are like, I like the marketing part. I like the, helpful part, but the money part, not so much.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Right. I think, first of all, it's sort of shedding this concept that we don't have any skills or we don't have anything that we're worth getting paid for. Just you're probably doing free today that could be earning you income tomorrow. So I think that is the first thing. It's just a mindset shift away from, you're planning people's birthday parties, putting in 8 hours, 16 hours. And, some of that comes from the goodness of your heart, but some of it is really tapping into your personal skills that if you didn't do it, they'd be contracting a formal event planner to do it for them and cutting them a check, so recognizing your sense of worth and your worth related to getting paid. So that's the first thing that I think always needs to happen before you start generating income. The second thing I think really comes from starting and recognizing the value of passive income and what it can do to get you away from the feast and famine cycle. So right now, I'm just seeing a lot in the online industry, something that really doesn't happen in the corporate industry. So it really stands out to me is this sort of big launch focused cycle where it's like, I'm going to do a big launch, I'm going to make 6 figures, and then what? That sort of thing. And it's like, are you just going to eat off of that because you made 6 figures? Because odds are, if you're, taking care of all the overhead that's associated with running your own business, all the expenses, you're going to eat up some of those 6 figures as well, so it's not the same as getting a 6-figure salary in a company that you take home, but you're not responsible for keeping the lights on and you're not responsible for paying the employees. So, really building in those systems to earn you income over the long run in a consistent way, whether it's through a coaching mastermind that pays you monthly or setting up low cost but wide variety and wide appeal digital products that can earn you income while you're sleeping for a small initial time investment. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's just really important that you set up those foundations first because they'll really help fund you while you're doing the things like your launches so that you're not dealing with that feast and famine and wondering where your next check is coming.
Yeah, I think there's so much realness that has to be shared as people come into this industry and they get excited about the possibilities, which I love. And everyone comes into this, from a different place. So they may have been inspired because they saw someone else do a big launch and they're like, yeah, I want to do that. I could totally do that. And, I've worked with so many clients on launches and the first one is not 6 figures.
It's not.
It's just not.
It wasn't 6 figures for me. And I did a really great launch.
Yeah, I don't care how great it was or who mentored you. It's like that person has built off of years of blood, sweat, and tears and building their brand and building their community. And they have an email list that is so much bigger than what you have.
Right,
so,
right. Well, and yeah, and you're right. And like the part that also gets me is like, not only is your first launch likely not going to be six figures, it can be, I don't want to like say it can't, but that is the 1% rarity. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be, you shouldn't be putting out the type of money to get a six-figure launch, and you shouldn't expect to have the type of product or the responsibility to a new user to deliver a six-figure launch experience. Because in reality, if it's your first time at it, your product's not perfect enough to demand that type of dollar. It requires refinement. It requires editing. And the only way you're going to get that is by taking people through an initial beta experience where they can give you feedback. So my course, my first launch was a beta experience. I was blessed at maybe five figures, which is great. That's on the better side of doing well,
awesome.
But it wasn't until I would say my fifth cycle, before my fifth class, having gone through it, that I could say, one, not only am I earning the six-figure launches that I'm getting, but it also is a product where I feel like it stands alone. Like there anything else is a fine-tune adjustment or a bonus adding to it, because it really does stand apart. And all along the way, I was working with my students to deliver the very best that I could. And it took a lot, but that's the process of it. It goes through many different versions before it's right.
Yeah, that's such a great insight to share, because so many of our ladies want to teach what they know, and they want to do it online, and they want to do a course. And Nicole knew some stuff I didn't know, because it took me 4 years to get to my first six-figure launch. Like I started teaching online 2009, 2010, and I didn't have my first six-figure launch until 2014.
Sure. I mean, that's amazing though. I mean, just even get to a six-figure launch, that is huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think it's so important for people to share like the behind the scenes, like instead of the hype that surrounds everything. Because the reason why I don't like it is because it makes us feel like we're not enough.
Right.
And that prevents us from going to the next level. So I love how you shared like the way you framed it as a beta launch. Think of your first one as a beta launch. And then you don't need to feel
that
some
pressure.
type of way when it goes the way it's supposed to go anyway.
Even if anything, be excited if a lot of people don't sign up, because it means that you get to offer an intimate concierge white glove experience. And these people are going to walk away screaming about how amazing it was and how hands-on you are. And they're going to be brand evangelists for you. And they're going to bring other people so that your second launch is even better. So whenever I come up short in my numbers, I'm like, yay, now I get to love on them more, It's a good thing.
Totally. Cool. So really, understanding that piece is really important. Is there anything else you would share with our ladies who are working on their income strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think that one of the things that I want to share, of course, if you're still building a way to generate income, is remember that I talked a little earlier about how you don't have to quit your 9 to 5. I think a side hustle is important for everyone. I mean, I'm teaching this to my little girls, like they are, my girls are 5, 15, and 17. And, this summer I have them all, they've taken 1K One Day Academy, and they all have a way, and they're aware of how to monetize their skills. So my eldest daughter, she is a parent-teen communicator coach. That's what she does. So she can help act as a go-between to help parents and their teens communicate a little better. Meaning if, their teen is getting ready for something like ninth grade, like you have middle school, that's her focus, is middle schoolers who are going into like ninth grade and have apprehensions or nerves. Parents will say, oh, it'll be fine. But sometimes you need another teen to come in there and like answer those questions so that they feel comfortable. Like, what do I wear? Or what do I do if I can't find my locker? Things that they may not want to talk about. So she's built this as like a little side hustle for herself. And it's cute. She makes like $20 an hour, which is not little money, especially for 17. And she feels good about herself. And I think that's the part that we often forget with the side hustle, is we always think if I'm not making enough money, or if it's not, really paying a couple bills, that it's not worthy. And I think I just really want to encourage them to find a place to have this little side hustle, because it feeds your soul. And that is so necessary in this world where you're taking commitments from other people and society is impressing those perspectives around who you are upon you. It's just really important that you stay in alignment with your purpose and that you feed your own soul. It makes for a happier you, a better mom, a better wife, and just a better person.
I love that you shared that you're raising your daughters to have their own side hustles. One of the things my grandfather always said is it's important for you to have your own money.
Yes, absolutely.
You get married or not, you got to have your own money. Right. And so many of us as Black women were not taught how to do that, how to create that. So, my grandmother, on the other hand, her plan, a man is a plan. The man is the plan. And my grandfather was like, forget that.
Right,
You guys are
right.
a different generation. You need to have your own money. And so I love that you're doing that, and that your teaching is not just supporting the adults that want to do this work for themselves, but also can pass that on to their kids. It's about the legacy that you can inspire.
It is.
That's beautiful. Well, you talked about being a mom, and I'm not a mama, but so many of our listeners are, and they often feel like they cannot build a successful business. They can't be a successful entrepreneur, let alone have a job and a side hustle and be a great mom and wife and all of that. What are some of the things that you do or have done as a practice, that things that work for you? I know that every day is not like, I was talking to one of my other guests, every day is not like a Zen, do my meditation, my yoga, my smoothie.
That's not my life.
Kids. Right. What's the real deal of what works for you?
Right. Listen, I wish I could be the person who's like, every morning I'm going to post on Instagram my new yoga pose. Like, no, like I have a very strong relationship with Spanx. I'm just not there yet. You know what I mean? Like, real talk. But I will say that one of the things I think is really important is just to recognize that balance is bogus, and to sit around and pretend that we are always going to be perfectly in balance, that we're always going to have our life together, that we're not going to have, we're juggling all these balls and we're never going to drop one of them. It's just sort of this myth that we've put on each other. And it's all this like secret unspoken pressure that just really isn't reality for anyone. It really isn't. People have assistants, they have nannies, they have house managers. I mean, in reality, we're all out there a little bit of a hot mess express, and like I was just joking with a previous call that I was on before. I was in the middle of a meeting, about one of my courses. And in the middle of the meeting, I told them, I was like, I'm really sorry. I think I left my Alfredo on the stove and I can smell it burning. And I'm so sorry. I was in the meeting started late. And I told them, I was like, yeah, because the meeting started late, I started making dinner. So I'm going to have to get pause really quick and I'll be right back, and because I will burn down my kitchen, and it's just, and I got back on the line and everyone just kind of had a chuckle about it because they were all moms and they were like, we get it. You know what I mean? Like, we get it. Like, you want to put a hot meal on the table, but you're also an entrepreneur who's running a business, And I don't have those moments often, and I try to keep my meetings professional, but once in a while you may burn down your kitchen if you don't stop. So I think shifting away from that it's important to be honest that these moments happen,
Right. Giving yourself permission. Yeah. So how do you stay productive? How do you stay focused with all the things that you have and your interviews and your social media and your marketing and serving your students and your clients and, having a great family life? Does scheduling, are you a big calendar person, or what works for you?
Well, I mean, it helps that my husband's awesome. I am married to the exact right person. She just gets me, and he is supportive, and that's really helpful. I do have a house manager. I went ahead and I found a local college student, and, it was fairly inexpensive, and people overestimate what it may cost to actually get some help for a couple of hours a day. And it really is not that costly. I mean, you can get help at home, depending on where you are and what part of the country, for as little as $100 a week, just to get like a day or two. And I know that that's a bill for a lot of people. I don't want to pretend like that's gas money. Like, I grew up really, really poor, so I get it. But when you think of what you can do with that time in terms of building your business, oftentimes it more than pays for itself. So getting help is very helpful. And then lastly, one thing that really matters is that at the end of each quarter, I actually stop. I stop working. Like, I take a day or two and I do what I like to call self-care sabbaticals, where if it's in the budget, if I didn't make my quarterly goals, I will just book a local hotel, and I mean, a local hotel, $59, $79 for a night or two, preferably 3. And I'll just go there and I won't be anybody's anything, meaning I'm not your mom. I'm not your wife. I'm just Nicole, and I'm just sitting here. What does Nicole want to do? Does Nicole want to take a bath? Does Nicole want to eat this food? What does she want to do? And just taking that time to, not be anyone's anything, it recenters me and it lets me come back and be everything for everyone again, So I think that those self-care sabbaticals, sometimes we always think we have to go on a big vacation. No, just book a hotel and just be by yourself and be in that quiet, be still, and tremendous things can come from that. You can really bear fruit.
I love that idea. I really love that. A self-care sabbatical where you are not anyone's anything. You get to be you. And it really is very doable. in addition to, the local hotel, a lot of us have, friends with places and extra rooms and things like that. Like, it's so doable for all of us, no matter where you are, if you just set that intention and put the time in. I love it. I love it. So, Nicole, when it
Yes.
comes to your journey that you've taken to go from corporate, having your side hustle, building your business, I imagine that there have been a lot of different influences and inspirations. What is like a book that you have read, reread, dog-eared to death that has really helped you throughout this journey?
So I have two. There's one that I actually bought like a smaller version so I can travel with it. It's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Everyone should read it. And like Oprah's, I think, read it like 8 times and Will Smith's read it like 12 times. Like there are all these numbers pandied around. But Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, it is a classic. It is simple. It is easy to understand. It is both tactical and not tactical at the same time. And it is talking about looking at everything in a different perspective around your goal setting. It is something that every single successful entrepreneur shares. It's the every instructional, every mindset coaching, everything you've ever seen is building off of this simple concept. And it's detailed in that book, and it is a must, and it is the place to start if you need to pick something up. If you haven't read anything, you should read that. And then the other book that I've read recently that just kind of is fitting into my journey and it's not dog-eared, but I thought it was just a terrific read. It's called The Storyteller's Secret by Carmine Gallo. A lot of times we wonder, how are we really going to stand out in the social media world? And how are we really going to, find our tribe and find people to connect with us that get us? And the way to do that harks back to African ancestry. It's storytelling. It's the thing that I think differentiates the people who are in it just for the business and the people who are in it to make an impact. And if you know how to tell your story, there isn't anyone that you can't win over, and there aren't lives that you can't change. And The Storyteller's Secret really walks you through how to do that. And it's really been impactful for me and really helped me find confidence in being candid and being transparent, because that's how I'm really going to make a change in this world.
I love that. I haven't had that recommendation on the show yet, so that's a great one.
Yay!
And it really just goes to show, like, so many people, I always say that if you see someone that inspires you, it's because there's something within them that is also in you. And when people look at you, I look at your videos now and you're like, wow, she's so extroverted and,
right.
Confident and comfortable on camera. I would love to be able to do that, and we all have our own way of being that still can attract people, and it don't have to be like someone else. So I love that you're continuing to grow in that way. Even when we look at you and we're like, you can write that book. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, I wish. No, I always joke around. Like when you see me on Periscope, I'm a hot mess. Like I'll come on Periscope and I'll be sitting in my tub crying like I failed everything, because entrepreneurs have those days,
Oh my God. Yes.
Like I'm a disaster. Or I'll be in the middle of scoping and, my 5-year-old will go streaking across the back screaming naked baby, like, that is real life, and I think it's just really important that we're candid about that. So.
Yeah, totally. Well, I was just talking to my boyfriend the other day and I was like, I love doing the teaching videos, but I'm like, I think sometimes I just want to show like what it's really like today. Like I am sitting in my office and I've got my robe on and I've got papers everywhere trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life, even though I created a plan for this in January.
Listen, it's not working. It's not coming together, and everyone needs to stop judging me because today is robe day and I want everyone to leave me alone. Everyone can step outside my room. It is robe day.
Exactly. Sometimes you just need road days.
Yes.
And I love the more of us who can put it out there and show the real side of it and wherever your comfort level is. I think it helps us as a community of women, especially women of color, to see that, I'm not alone and I can still be super, super successful without feeling like I have to have it all perfect, whatever perfect means.
No, I think you're right on the money. I think that, especially with entrepreneurship, we all get caught up in the Instagram lifestyle, like girls on vacation. Why am I not on vacation? What's going on? How is she so skinny and still making this work? It's like real talk, there are tears probably every other day. So part of it.
Totally. So just to go back to what you were sharing, you said you mentioned Periscope. Is that your main form of marketing now? Or, if you could look at all the platforms, like which are the platforms that you use the most that benefit your business?
So benefiting my business, I love Periscope. So I know that everyone's like getting hip to Facebook Live, and Facebook Live is great fun too, but I don't like playing the Facebook algorithm race, like that's like not my thing. Facebook's always changing their rules, and, 1 minute you're getting tons of exposure, the next minute no one's watching, it's just, it can be a real headache. What's great about Periscope is you're not fighting those battles. You get to go live. Anytime you go live and you use hashtags, anybody who's looking for those hashtags finds you, and there's new people every single day that pop on my Periscopes, and they're like, I never met you before, and I love everything about this, and I'm so grateful. And so I found that, I see a direct statistical correlation between days that I Periscope and seeing my email list go up. So that I would easily say is probably my favorite platform to just get on there and be real. It's just not as high pressure. You know how YouTube went from being a place where you could post your grainy phone video, and now it's like Steven Spielberg quality pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
I'm like, Facebook Live is going that way, and I'm like, y'all don't know my life. Like, I can't do all of that. So Periscope is great because it's like, hey, this is real Nicole. This is me every single day, and you get to interact and chat with me, and I can also tell you where you can find me later on my different platforms, and it's working. So I definitely recommend for everyone to check it out if they haven't so far.
Yeah, totally. And I love that you kind of shared how you chose your platform, not based on what everyone else is doing, but what's comfortable for you. And, we don't have to fit into, if YouTube is too much for you, then don't just use something else. You don't have to be on that just because you think you have to be there to be successful. I am not on Snapchat. Everybody wants me to snap, and I'm like, I ain't snapping.
Right.
I don't care what you say.
Right. I'm like, with the young
I ain't
folks,
snapping.
like, that's not for me. Like, I know everyone's drawn on photos now. I'm like, listen, I don't know how to do all that. Like, the other day I did my very first Instagram story. And I was like, okay. And then today I was like, I forgot I had it. So, I mean, it's like, you know what? I'm just trying to keep up.
I love it. Well, I know that everyone is going to want to stay in touch with you. But I have one more question.
Oh, sure.
Knowing what you know now, going through this whole journey, what one piece of advice would you give to the woman who's just starting out and she's not sure if she's got what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur? She's still in her full-time job, but she has these big dreams and aspirations of being free and doing what she wants to do. What's the number one piece of advice you would give her?
Oh my gosh, the number one piece of advice I'd give her, and this is new to 2017, if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I'd say, do the work, like something to that effect. Now it's grant yourself some grace. Oh my gosh, grant yourself some grace. We're all new to doing this whole thing for the first time. Every day in entrepreneurship, it's part of what makes it exciting is every day you will encounter something that you haven't done before that'll get you stuck. It's not going to be easy, and you need to grant yourself some grace because it's through those challenges that your greatness emerges. And it's important to just stick with it and be positive and knowing that, this is for you, the world is for you. And if you're just easy on yourself, you'll reach your success.
I love it. Grant yourself some grace. Stop being so hard on yourself and beating yourself up. This is life, ladies, and we got some beautiful wisdom from Nicole on the entrepreneurial life. Really, I mean, this whole thing
it's
about making money and also being with what is in your life in the process. So, Nicole, my dear, how can our ladies stay in touch with you and learn more from you, get more information and wisdom?
Yes, well, I would love to chat with any happy Black ladies that are out there. Seriously, I'm here for it because the more the merrier. So I can be found at NicoleWalters.tv. That is like my main home camp. You can find me there. And if you want to get started on something, if you're like saying to yourself, you know what, I'm connecting with what Nicole's saying, but I don't really know what direction to go in, you can actually head over to myfierceclarity.com. And that is like my sort of get started, get some clarity around who I am and why I'm doing this, and get that courage to kind of jump in there and make the most of it all. So myfierceclarity.com is a place you can go if you want to start right now. And if you just want to stay in touch, head over to NicoleWalters.tv, and I would love to hear from you.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you for being so generous with your information and wisdom, because this is how so many of us get started, is hearing from someone who inspires us, following them, and moving forward with our own goals. So thank you.
Thank you for having me and giving me a place to serve. This was so much fun.
Yes, it was super fun. Thank you so much, Nicole. I know that we'll be seeing more of her in the future. All right, ladies. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a lot from this episode. If you want to go back to our previous episodes, you can go to happyblackwoman.com and learn so much from all the ladies who have shared their journeys, their stories, their tips, all for free. happyblackwoman.com. Until next time, have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Happy Black Woman podcast. If you want all the show's notes from today's episode, go to happyblackwomanpodcast.com. Plus, we'll send you a copy of Rosetta's free life mapping workbook. We look forward to empowering you next time. And until then, do something this week that makes you happy.